Hi folks, Jack O'Malley, and it is a Friday, and I am recording this a little before 11. I have a meeting at 11, and then I plan to do some yard work today. Might be dodging the raindrops, but I need to get out and do a little spring work. So that's my plan for the day. So I wanted to record this, and I waited to hear what the Gov had to say. So I want to focus on basically one thing today, and briefly the history of where we're at. Now, I've read the comments over the many months. Why aren't you doing more to, this to the governor? Why don't you do that to the governor? And I think I've tried to explain to reasonable people that we are doing everything that we can. I know there's the impeachment thing. Why don't you impeach her? Well, I'm not going to go into why we're not. We have reasons why we're not. That makes sense. I would counter that with why haven't the people's petitions to recall her worked? Right? There wasn't a stomach for that at the time. So hear me out here. I've said from the very beginning, initially we were all with the governor in this COVID situation until somewhere about a year ago, right about now, she stopped listening to us. And I was doing an interview this morning where I said, I remember the day, not the exact date, but I remember the day she came out with new executive orders, and our staff said, my gosh, she didn't listen to one thing that we suggested. And in the previous couple of 3 weeks, she had been. And it was at that point that the governor decided to go on her own, and not just she'd already kind of laid that groundwork in other legislative things when she vetoed that 180 or 147 bills or line item, 147 things out of the budget in 2019. Remember that? Including Pure Michigan and money for autism, right? Remember that? It's when the governor started to show signs she was going to do it her own way and, smell you later. So now here we are a year later. And remember, too, her polling numbers, she was like just shy of 70% for many, many, many months. People were, get rid of her. But yet the petition for recalls were failing. I think there were 3 of them. They failed. That's got to tell you something here. This issue that we're in right now isn't just swipe of this, do that. It's easy. Monday morning quarterbacking is easy unless you're in the game, right? So with that, 69%, I think, was her high water mark. And it wasn't until a little bit ago that it got down to 53%. And then just recently, here last week, her favorability ratings were under 50%. All right? And then I see a poll today from the marketing research group. 63% of the people of Michigan would support limiting the governor's powers. That is a big shift. That is a huge shift because the governor pays attention to those polls. So what happened today? Our numbers are surging, whether you like it or not. And I'm not talking, let me be very specific. I'm not talking about positive tests because I know positive tests aren't always accurate. I know, and I get it. I hear the chatter. I do. It's not lost on me. But the thing that I'm focusing on are the hospitals, and I am focused on the nurses and doctors who are tired. They're worn out. I referred to them as a MASH unit earlier in the week, right? They've been at war for a year. They're tired. But yet Michigan's numbers continue to go up again, not just in positivity, but in hospitals, okay? That's where the rubber meets the road, in the hospital. They're up. Point is, we have to watch that. So today the governor spoke, and I thought it was very interesting. 6 months ago, and this is what the interviewer asked me if I knew what she was going to say. I said, well, if I knew what she was going to say, we wouldn't be where we're at right now. But I said, I don't know what she's going to say. But he said, do you think she's going to impose more restrictions? I said, I don't know. I don't know if she's going to impose more restrictions. But here's the thing. At 10 o'clock this morning, she didn't. What she has said is, I am asking for youth sports to pause 2 weeks. I'm asking for schools to go back to remote learning for 2 weeks. I'm asking that we don't dine inside, that we dine outside, and that we continue to stay vigilant. Point is, she didn't impose Why is that? Because the tide has turned. When you live by political rules only, which I believe Governor Whitmer does, she is a political animal. And the political tide has turned. And now here's a very good question for a lot of people who supported the governor. If the governor has been doing everything right, why are we still in this mess when other states who were less restrictive are doing much better? The most restrictive, or arguably the most restrictive measures in the country, and we're now the poster child for positivity rates. That tells me the governor didn't do things exactly right. Now I can get into, and it's a whole nother discussion about what she could have done. I think you ask, you cajole, you trust, you bring the legislature in so we can work as a team. But when you want to stand up there and say, when you go it alone, you're either going to be the hero or the goat. And I don't mean greatest of all time. So here we are. The governor's numbers are falling. The governor is treading water, and the political animal really doesn't know what to do. It's an interesting study. There will be books written on this one, I think. So here's what Representative Jack O'Malley from the 101st wants to say. I don't want to talk about positivity rates. I don't want to talk about anything like that, because I understand the argument is, well, it's this, that. No. The thing I'm focused on right now is our men and women in the medical fields that are whipped. Our hospital visits are way up, right? Some hospitals are now stopping elective procedures because they need the space, they need the staff, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going back in time a little bit. There's reasons for it. I don't know. Right at this moment, I don't care about the reasons. I just know that it's there. All right. So please think of it this way. Let's double down here and let's be smart. All right. We are going to have to muscle our way through this. So this is not a time to take your mask off if you've been a mask wearer and, run naked through the tulips. It isn't. Okay. This is a time to let's stay smart. When you get together with friends and family, but don't rip off the masks and, sit shoulder to shoulder. Do it outside on the deck or the patio, right? Why? Because we are dealing now with another strain of this virus, which is causing us problems. That, I think, is the logical way to go. And think when you do this, the reason you're doing it, not is because some governor told you to do it, but you know that your neighbors, who are your doctors and your nurses, are whipped. They're fatigued, but yet they are still there every day taking care of the people that are sick. So for them, not for the governor, not for me, right? And I don't care if you think the governor has been aces or you think the governor has been, the joker in the deck. I don't care. Just think about those people, the men and women. We can argue all sorts of things, but you cannot argue the fact that our hospitals are packing again, right? So remember the MASH unit, remember our doctors and our nurses, and let's move forward smartly. This, I think, we would be in a whole different situation if Governor Gretchen Whitmer had done things differently 12 years ago. When Governor Gretchen Whitmer decided to be a political animal and take on this whole thing by herself because she could, and push aside the House of Representatives and the state Senate, she chose this path. So I don't feel sorry for the governor right now. She's feeling the nipping at her heels, and she should. But for our doctors and our nurses, I ask that we all stay vigilant and do what we can and realize, no matter how pissed off you are at the governor, we're not PO'd at those doctors and nurses. So this weekend, if you're getting together, stay outside, stay apart, right? Be smart, and go forward, and then we'll deal with it. But nobody's telling you what to do. We're asking. And for the first time in this whole thing, Governor Whitmer actually asked today. That's something, I bet that stuck in her craw. She asked. Interesting chain and turn of developments today. All right. I've got leaves calling my name. So I'm going to take off after I got, like I said, another meeting and then some yard work ahead. So I'll talk to you Monday. Have a good weekend. Let's be smart out there. Remember those doctors and nurses. They're good people. And if your loved one gets sick and needs to go to the hospital, you want them on the top of their game, right? Let's move forward. Thank you.